Are you starting out on YouTube and looking to get your first 100 subscribers? Well, today I'm going to be talking with Nick Nimmin about how to get subscribers on this platform. Now, there's so many different ways, tactics, strategies, and it's all about the principles. But one of the first ways that you can get your first 100 subscribers is literally look to who's in your community. Figure out what is your sub niche, what channels are like yours, and literally start talking to them, leaving comments, start the relationship. Don't do the whole sub for sub, like actually add value through the comments, because literally your first 100 subscribers could be other channels like yours that want to support that community. So that's my first tip, but we're going to get into way more tips. We're going to be talking about Nick Nimmin, about his story, how he came up on YouTube, his tips not only for getting subscribers, but for beginners coming up.
YouTube Secrets is out now. Learn the strategies of today's top video influencers in this step-by-step YouTube success playbook. Get your copy today at tubesecretsbook.com.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. That's right. My name is Benji Travis. This is Video Influencers, where we're helping build your influence, income, impact with online videos. You know, Sean Cannell and I, we started this channel to help you guys crush it right here on YouTube. And that's what we're going to be doing. So hit that like button, comment below. What is your subscriber goal for 2020? And let us know about your channels. We're going to be taking questions at the end, but we're talking about subscribers, how to get subscribers, your first 100 subscribers, especially if you're a beginner. But keep in mind, these tips and tricks that we're going to be talking about with Nick Nimmin are evergreen. These are going to work for everybody at every level. But I know a lot of you are starting out 2020 excited about getting your channels going, getting these views, getting these subscribers. So let's dive into it. But before that, let me introduce to you Nick Nimmin. Nick Nimmin is a creator, consultant, speaker, and live streamer on all things YouTube. On his channel, he helps you grow your YouTube channels, make videos, and cover all types of YouTube related topics. In addition to what he does on his channel, he's been on Video Influencers multiple times, repeat guest speaker at many events, Vid Summit, Video Marketing World. Most importantly, he's crushing it on YouTube. Almost 500,000 subscribers. That's right. That's his silver play button, and 20 million views, and he's continuing to crush it right now. Not like 10 years ago or 5 years ago. Nick Nimmin, I'm excited to have you on. Thank you so much, Nick, for being here.
Thank you, Benji, for having me on, man. I'm really excited to talk about, how people can get more subscribers today, because I know on YouTube, that's something that a lot of people are after. That's the thing that people want when they come on YouTube. They want to get the views, they want to get the subscribers, and all the stuff that comes with it, because all the stuff that comes with it comes with the views and subscribers. So, I'm really excited to share that information and have that conversation with you today. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I'm honored to have you on here. Let's make sure that mic is always on for Nick. And let's just get into some basics. Let's talk about how you got your start and what it was like when you first uploaded a video on YouTube. I would love to know about your history before YouTube, but especially when you first got on, because there's a lot of you right now that are beginners on YouTube. You've never uploaded a video, or maybe just a few, and you're looking to get your first subscribers, and you don't know, how do people do it? How have these epic influencers gotten 1 million subscribers? And you're just trying to get your first 100 and maybe struggling, having some challenges. Can you talk a little bit about how you got your start, and what's your first piece of advice for people?
Absolutely. So for me, when I first got onto YouTube, my initial thing that got me onto YouTube was to get email addresses. So I was working a job where I was doing a lot of client work around graphic design, and I got some difficult clients. My brother and I both, we got some difficult clients, and we didn't want to do that anymore. It basically sucked the joy out of that job, because we're both creative people, but we couldn't really we could still be creative, but we just weren't happy in that particular environment. So we had a conversation about, we didn't want to do it anymore, but we didn't really know what to do. So I live outside of the country, and in my situation, if I don't do, if I don't work, and I can't just go and get a job somewhere to tide me over, right? So I have to find a solution first. So one of the things I started looking into at the time was internet marketing, and that led me into the idea of collecting emails. And then I started seeing people talk about, hey, YouTube is a great way to collect emails. So I said, okay, well, I might think about maybe doing a YouTube channel, but no, that's not really me. I don't want to be that guy on camera. I don't want to make videos for
Yeah.
YouTube. And I actually, part of my daily routine is I actually do meditation every day. And when I would sit down to meditate during that process, because it was a stressful time and I was looking for solutions, I couldn't find anything. And in my brain, because I was looking for that type of information in my brain, it kept coming to me, do YouTube, do YouTube, do YouTube. And I kept fighting it. No, I'm not going to be that guy. And then, I was thinking to myself, I was like, what happens if I open a YouTube channel and like a friend of mine back home sees it, or my brother sees it? Imagine the hard time my brother's going to give me if he sees, this YouTube channel that I open up. So there's no way. And then finally I just gave into it. After a period of time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to give it a shot, and I'm going to see how, see if I can collect some emails. So that was the initial thing. And I put out a handful of videos, and during that time,
by the way, that first initial fear, I think everybody can relate to that. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of you starting out watching this right now, you're fearful about what people that you care about and that care about you will think about, right? Set aside the fact that there's going to be strangers watching you, and there are trolls and haters and all kinds of negativity out there. But why be fearful of that? In fact, a lot of people, they want to support you, and so thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's a really important thing to highlight. All YouTubers, including myself and Sean, were fearful of the camera. And this is coming from two people who had experience, and you just have to get through it by uploading that first video, right? You might be scared of something that's never going to happen, and sometimes whatever is going to happen needs to happen for you to get to that next level. So thank you so much for sharing that, because that is the first step.
Yeah, and with that also, like, overcoming that camera shyness was such a big deal for me that ended up actually being my first video. So I still built in the email thing, but how to overcome camera shyness was my first video that I uploaded to YouTube, because that was a problem that I was having. So I was like, okay, well, I'm sure other people are having this problem, so let me do that. And through the process of working this out in my own brain of the problems I'm going through, I'm just going to put this video out and see if other people are having the same problem. And apparently they are. So, so that ended up working out. However, when I first started, I went through the same thing that a lot of other people do. I had no idea what I was getting into. Luckily, I had a background, like 15 years in sales. I had a background in graphic design. I had edited videos previously. Because of some of the freelance work that I did prior. I also did some things for people where I helped them like rank blog posts and search and that kind of stuff. So I even came into it with a background in SEO and that sort of thing. So because of that, when I came in, I already had the ability to be able to look at something and say, okay, this is quality, this is not quality, this is, like I'm doing the right thing or I'm not. And when I first started putting out the videos, they were decent quality videos. They still sucked, in comparison, but they were still decent quality videos. But the real magic happened for me when I got the opportunity to work with somebody that knew what they were doing. Because, what I was doing, like, we didn't have the advantage of having like tons of channels to watch all of this YouTube content. And like Benji was saying earlier, having all this back experience that just comes to, tell people, hey, this is all you have to do. Like, do this, do this, do this. Like, we didn't have that. Like at the time, I was watching
School of Hard Knocks,
like Gideon Chadwick, for sure. I was watching guys like Gideon Chadwick, who was more talking about marketing. I was watching Tim when he was doing real SEO. I was watching a lot of Daryl Eves at the time. And luckily for me, Daryl Eves was actually crossing 100,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel.
So crazy.
And he put out a video and he said, hey, if my channel's ever done anything for you, send me a video and just tell me about it and let me know what's up. And if it's good, I'll put it in my video. So I sent him a video. And I was like, hey, this guy that I watch on YouTube, he's putting this out. So let me send him this video and see if I can get in the video. So I made the video, and I ended up getting contacted from him very quickly after I sent him that video. And he said, hey, how you present, how your camera looks, your quality, like all the stuff. He says, I think that you would be really well suited for another channel. And I said, okay, well, let me take that opportunity and let's do this other channel. So I took a hiatus on my current channel for about 9 months. And during that time, I learned a ton about YouTube, all the stuff that I had no idea about. And I basically got told or taught the foundational skills that are required in order to make all of this stuff work. Unfortunately, I went against his advice. He told me, he's like, hey, This is a long game, right? Because I was still in the new mode, right? In my brain, I didn't fully get it. I was just seeing the tip of the iceberg. But he told me, he was like, look, if you're going to do this, you have to upload at a pace that's sustainable for you. And he gave me like all of these, all this advice. And he's like, these are all the things you have to do. And me being the noob that was like, hey, I want to do this. I'm like, I'm all in. And I started uploading like 3 videos a week. And that type of content was difficult to make anyway, because one, I was new. So my speed of the workflow was a lot slower then. But also the content itself took a long time to make because I had to research and all that. But what happened is I was doing my graphic design stuff and I was doing YouTube. So basically I was working from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed for about 9 months straight. And yeah, like big time. And it got to the point to where I just couldn't do it. I felt horrible about it because at the time I felt like I had like let Daryl down and what he had invested to me in his time. And I felt horrible about that. Still feel bad about it, to be honest. But I felt bad about that. And, but I was like, you know what, this experience did teach me about YouTube though. And it taught me that this is definitely something that I want to do. It showed me the potential of what YouTube could be. And I said, okay, so I want to stay on YouTube, but I can't make this type of content anymore, at least not at that pace. But what I can do is I can go back to this other channel so that I don't end up losing all of my clients right now. I can go back to this other channel and I can start making that content because it's all up here. Because at that time, I wasn't making YouTube content. I was doing stuff like about how to come up with video ideas, but I was also talking about, how to stay motivated. And I was talking about how to stay focused when you're working at a coffee shop, because, if you're doing any type of remote work, you can work anywhere you want. So in that situation, I'd spend a lot of time at Starbucks on my laptop, and I would have friends come over and start talking to me. So I would make videos about how to avoid situations like that. So I was sharing content about what I was going through at the time and things that applied to me with other people. But when I came back, one of the things I said is okay, well, I have to monetize this quickly so that I can put all of my time into this and not the other stuff that I'm trying to get away from anyway. So I built a website and all that stuff, and I offered some services through it. And that ended up taking me full time really quick off of YouTube. And I was fortunate enough to be here in Thailand, where the cost of living is cheaper anyway. So it made that entire process a lot easier also.
What was the name of that channel? What was the name of the other channel?
Our Questions. Yeah, it's All Our Questions.
All Our Questions. When we get that pulled up, let's look at that. But you heard it here. There's 3 things I want to highlight here. Number 1, shout out to Daryl Eves, right? I didn't know that. And obviously, Daryl is an amazing mentor to so many, and I'm sure a lot of you, but was who literally helped Nick get his start. And same thing with us. We used to watch his videos to learn how to crush it on YouTube as well. Secondly, the reason we're going to pop up that other channel, let's go ahead and show it up on screen, because a lot of you know Nick as this other person, not realizing he had a whole season of life putting up other content, right? There's some pretty funny stuff up there, right? But just wanted to show you, we're going to get into basically the tips and tricks and some of the principles that we're going to suggest to you to get subscribers. But realize any hustle you do is not wasted hustle. Even a whole nother channel that you don't upload to and it's long been forgotten, all that is experience building the foundation to be able to finally build the house, the palace, right? The fortress that will be your YouTube channel will help you get not only your first 100 subscribers, but your first 1,000, 10,000, a million subscribers one day. Thank you so much. And that's exactly why I wanted Nick on, is because I wanted to show the fact that it's not just about the principles, tactics, and strategies. Literally, any kind of hustle, any kind of experience, especially another channel, is going to be so important for getting your start. So if you're just watching this right now, make sure that you don't discount your first uploads, even if they don't get a lot of views, because literally those uploads or experience to get you set up for when you have your actual channel, which now for you, Nick, is Nick Nimmin.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing with that also is, that channel not only taught me the foundational stuff for YouTube, but it helped me get my workflow together. Yeah. It helped me learn how to communicate with an audience, how to, the important parts of actually building an audience. Like you learn so much through the process. On that channel, I think I put out, I'm not sure if all of them are published, but I think I made like 89 videos or something like that for that channel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of content, and you know, because you do this too. So it's like, and everybody in the chat, you do this too. So you know the process and all the stuff that you learn from making the difference from making one video versus making 90 videos for YouTube. Like you learn so much, and it really got me excited about this whole thing. But like Benji was saying, the importance of skill building and just knowing, like when you're first getting started, you have to spend time, polishing the sword. Right. You have to spend time sharpening the axe, because that is going to be the thing that's going to be the thing that's going to help you develop the skills to really propel yourself forward in the future. And it might be the channel that you're working on now. It might be the next channel that you work on. It might be 2 channels from now. Right. But if this is something that you really, really want, and you have the vision to where you're like, you know what, this is definitely something that I can do. I just have to figure it out. You absolutely can. Because like I said, people look at me now as the guy to come to for YouTube advice. But when I first started, just like everybody that's watching this right now, when I first started, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of YouTube, how YouTube works.
Let's pull up his channel real quick for everybody. If you don't know who Nick is, we're going to show you exactly who he is. So this is his, let's go to his old channel first, right? The other channel. There you go. So let's scroll down. So it's pretty good thumbnails, right? There's some uniformity, but it's kind of like different types of content, at least from my perspective. But then now you go to his new channel, Nick Nimmin, or his current channel, and you can see, and don't go to the old videos, go to his newest content there. You can see it is legit pro. I mean, like his thumbnails all look very similar. There's a brand here. Obviously, Nick's face shows up in almost every single thumbnail, even the colors in the text. So the reason this is important to talk about and share compared to talking about the actual principles and tactics is because what you do before you upload your first video on the actual channel you're going to follow through on is so important. And that you never know, like you could be working on something and then like it fails, or maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe you picked the wrong niche, or you really weren't passionate about it, but all that is getting set up for the next season. So before we get into the tactics and strategies, one more question for you, Nick. I want to know what have been like the key moments that that kind of changed everything for you on Nick Nimmin. Obviously, we're going to get into subscribers, but there are a few moments in your journey where like you realize this is what works, that people can learn from, and advice you could give, especially to beginners.
One thing that made a really big difference for me, and this is really, in my opinion, this is something that people underappreciate, or that they don't try to fully embrace. One thing that really made a big difference for me was I used to script everything out, and I would script literally word for word, and I would write in jokes, and I would be like, okay, pause here, and then, wait for this amount of time and then come back in. And I would literally just write everything out word for word. And that was great because it gave me the opportunity to use that as kind of like a crutch of sorts to make sure that, I was saying the right things, and it just helped make me comfortable. Right. Yeah. But what happened is when I stopped writing scripts and I started using bullet points, and I know not every type of content supports this, but if your content does, I really encourage you to experiment with using bullet points. And let me tell you why. When you are reading from a script, your brain, if you're reading a teleprompter, or if you're reading and reciting, which basically means that you are looking at a script or a piece of paper or a tablet, whatever, and then you are reading whatever lines you're going to say, you look at the camera and you say it. When you're doing that, when you're communicating, you're not actually communicating like you always communicate. What you're doing in that situation is you are sitting there processing in your brain, am I saying everything the right way that I have it written down and that I intended to say it? But you're not saying things the way that you normally do. And because of that, it kind of scrapes away, in my opinion, some of your personality and some of the stuff that makes you, and the nuances of how you communicate, which is stuff that people attach to on YouTube. So because of that, I recommend that you try using bullet points, because one thing that happened for me when I started using bullet points is I started communicating more authentically. And basically, I still had my points to where it's like, I'm going to talk about this, 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 and this, but I basically fill in all of the blanks in the middle. And by doing that, it allows me to communicate in my natural way. Now, of course, I'll jam it up a little bit or hype it up a little bit for the sake of the entertainment side of it. But it's more about communicating in the way that I normally communicate, which I think helps people relate to me and the content that I make when I do that. And I could actually see in my stats right when I started doing that, people started watching my
Oh,
videos
yeah.
for a longer period of time. People started subscribing at a higher rate, all of that stuff. So if
Yeah.
you are currently using scripts, if your content type supports it,
Yeah.
I recommend that you at least experiment with running off of bullet points. And before I even published one with bullet points, I made, I think, 5 different videos with just using bullet points because I had to practice to get comfortable with that too. But that's something that I really recommend because it made a really big difference for me and just how comfortable I was making videos and how people responded to it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And in fact, I not only script things out and then continue to write further and more in detail, but then I turn all that into the bullet points. So the power of scripting or writing it all out isn't that you're going to say it word for word. It's getting it ingrained in your brain so that when you do follow the bullet points, it comes out a little more naturally. Like it's coming from within rather from like a document that you're reading. And, at the end of the day, remember what makes YouTube so powerful, what makes it stand apart from television, from movies, even just traditional media, why YouTubers are way more famous and have way more engagement than a traditional celebrity is that human connection. So we talk about engagement in comments. We talk about people subscribing and feeling like they know you. It's because of that. And so the more natural you are, and this is why, as cliche as it is, the more you are yourself, the more authentic version of you that's showing up on camera, the more likely that not only are you going to have better content that's going to add value, whatever that value is, but the more likely they're going to want to subscribe to you, right? People subscribe to people they like. And by the way, there's no one format of likable person on YouTube. Like you want to connect with the people that have that chemistry with you. So I think it's a great point. Anything else you want to talk about on your journey of getting to literally 500,000 subscribers in terms of what's worked for you? I think that is a great point, the bullet point one.
And another thing that's worked for me personally is also just being rigidly consistent. So as of late, I haven't been as consistent, but I'm getting back to it here in 2020 because I just needed to focus on some other things around what it is that I'm doing on YouTube so that I could add value in additional ways. But one thing that I was rock solid about for I think probably 3.5 years straight was just being religiously consistent to where it doesn't matter if I was sick, doesn't matter if I felt like making a video, if I didn't feel like making a video, it didn't matter what was going on. I made it a priority over everything else to make sure that I was publishing 2 videos a week plus a live stream. And I think that by itself was a really powerful thing as well, because one, it shows people when you are consistently putting out content on YouTube, it shows people that you are one, that you care enough about what it is that you're doing, that they should care about what it is that you're doing. It also keeps you at the top of mind. So that whole thing about people, getting to like you and getting to know you, well, the more that they're exposed to you, the more you're giving that, the more you're giving that opportunity a chance to take place of them, saying, oh yeah, I do like this person. Now that I've watched 8 videos of this person,
Yep.
I dig what it is that they're doing. But that rock solid consistency for a very long period of time. And look, I mean, I'll be honest, there's times to where, it's 4 a.m. and I was like, you know what, I need to just wrap this up. But I was like, you know what, I can't. I have to get this video out, tomorrow morning or whatever the time was. And I just pushed through because of that. And, like once you get into YouTube and you start doing this and things start working out and you start networking with other YouTubers, you really get a heavy glimpse of the amazing opportunity that's here. And it's not just a financial thing, but in terms of the fulfillment that comes from making content from YouTube, the relationships that come from making content from YouTube. And when you can dedicate yourself to tapping into that, because you're saying, you know what, I'm going to be as consistent as possible so that I can tap into what's possible here on YouTube and all of the opportunities that are available here. When you dedicate to that, magical things start to happen. And not really magical, but in terms of just how the world works, right? You consistently show up, you consistently put out content that adds value to people over and over and over again. Things are going to work out for you.
Yeah, that consistency is so important when it comes to having success on YouTube. And when it comes to subscribers, I love what you mentioned is like, you don't get the subscriber often on the first video. You'll get it in the second or the third and the fourth. So the more consistent you are, the more chances you're giving yourself. On the flip side of that, the more videos you upload, the more, I say, hooks in the sea, right, to catch fish with. And as you get better, each one of those uploads should be more optimized, more searchable, will rank higher than your last video. So that's just stacking that experience. And so, yeah, consistency. And I do believe, based on my experience and observations of other people crushing it, including yourself, is it's easier to be consistent with one video upload a week for 52 weeks than to try to crush 52 videos in like the first month, right? And that's usually when burnout happens. And so that gap between the uploads each week also gives you that time to rest, number one. Two, observe your results and adjust it and really raise the quality. See, the beauty of repetition, obviously in terms of consistency and putting out more content, is you get stronger over time, right? When it comes to working out. But with YouTube, you just get better. Your audio gets better. Your video gets better. Your lighting, you figure out, this is the best angle for it. When you're uploading, if you're using tools that help you know where you're ranking in search, you can see like, okay, because I use these words in the title, or because of this thumbnail, I'm getting better click-through rate. Again, you can adjust from there. So that consistency is literally, I'll tell you, if there is one thing that's going to help you get subscribers in 2020, be consistently uploading videos and try to improve from one video to the next every single week. If you can upload 2 or 3 in a week, good for you. But we're all about consistency. If you're just starting out, you might still have a full-time job, priorities of taking care of family and whatnot. But there's just no getting around the power of consistently uploading content. So thank you so much. And any other thoughts? I wanted to give a couple of shout outs to people. Adam's Exploits, thank you so much for your super chat. The Urban Explorer, Cakeology. Also, welcome to the members club, Cakeology. I saw that you just joined, and of course, all the other members. We're going to be taking your questions at the end. Before we get into some of these tactics or principles we want to share about gaining your first 100 subscribers, or really any subscribers generally, what else do you want to leave with our audience?
I also want to lead that it's important to also be patient. And this is something that every single person, and I actually just talked about this in the live stream that we just did also, is every single person, just as a human being, you always want results faster, right? Like when you first get your camera, you want to be a master at that camera right away. But unfortunately, you have to go through growing pains and you have to make mistakes in order to really understand how to use the camera. When you start, Benji, you're really into fitness and running and all of that. When you first start working out, it's something that, you have to learn how to actually target the muscles when you're doing it. You're going to be in there wasting time. The same thing applies to YouTube. When you are, coming onto YouTube, you have to go through these processes of developing all this stuff. And in most cases, it doesn't happen overnight. And because of that, it can be really frustrating, and it can be something to where you're just like, man, I don't know how much longer I can do this. But when you have those thoughts, just remember, I uploaded, like 80 something videos to a channel that I, ended up walking away from. And that was the learning part that I had. And when I came back to this channel at that time, I had like 3,000 subscribers. Right. So it's like, it's a patience thing. Like people see, and you've experienced this too, Benji, to where people see that side to where it's like, oh, well, you're this big YouTuber. If you were a small YouTuber, then, you wouldn't be able to do this. It's like, I was a small YouTuber, right? I've been able to do this. I've helped other people that are small YouTubers be able to do this. Like, it's a process that you go through. You just have to be patient. And even though, like I was saying, it can be discouraging and you can be like, oh, there's so much work involved. There's so much to learn. There is, but there's also a lot of rewards on the other side of that. Like I was saying before. So if you want what's on that other side, then, you have to hop in the work boat, so to speak, and paddle your way across, the waterway there in order to get it.
I think it's a great thing to end on before we get into the actual tactics, strategies, and principles on gaining subscribers here on YouTube, because of course, patience is key. Because this is the thing. I love that we showed Nick's other channel. I love when Sean shares about his history. By the way, before he was uploading videos full time as a YouTuber, before we started Video Influencers, he was shooting videos for my wife and I. In fact, the way Sean and I got our start together as friends is literally he was the one shooting our wedding video, right? And editing that content and then putting it up on our channel. So there's just so many stories. I do believe, though, channels like this, Video Influencers, Nick's channel, Nick, I was going to say Nimminati, but Nick Nimmin, right? Daryl Eve, Tim Schmoyer, Roberto Blake, all these other epic channels. You don't have to go through years. I do believe, and Nick, I would love to hear your thoughts before we move on to subscriber tactics, is I do believe people are progressing and improving faster than ever because they're taking our mistakes that we made, avoiding them. They're utilizing the best practices that we found out after years, and literally they're succeeding even more quickly. However, with that being said, you still got to be patient, because one thing you have to keep in mind, and this is why I love YouTube, we have probably over 2 billion logged in users now on this platform, and it's growing all the time, even with Adpocalypse and COPPA and FTC and all these other things affecting monetization on certain channels. More and more people are using YouTube. I was just telling somebody the other day, I watched more YouTube in 2019 than maybe I did in the whole 3 years before that. And I'm sure I'm not unique to that. I'm sure a lot of people are consuming content, even with TikTok and everything. So as there's more people watching, there's also more people wanting to crush it on YouTube that are starting channels, and it's getting competitive. This is why it's always key to up your quality, especially, by the way, a lot of you are just starting out on YouTube, but if you're watching this, you've been on for a decade, a couple of years, you've already got traction, you've been doing this full time, like you can't rest on improving your skills. You can't just assume what worked last year is going to work right now. You've always got to raise the bar and keep your standards high, because that's what's going to keep you relevant, and that's what's going to keep you ahead of the pack. But yeah, I mean, of course, when it comes to patience, there's no getting around that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I think that the desire to have everything all of a sudden work out, I mean, I think it's just something that's kind of built into us.
Yeah.
But I think the learning curve that you're talking about, I think that the reason that all of us are watching more YouTube these days, I think it's also because as content creators, you know, we're all learning how to make better content too. Because, you know, like 5 years ago, for example, there are just like a few, you know, there are a handful of channels, you know, teaching how to do YouTube. There are a handful of filmmaking channels, like that kind of stuff. Now there's tons of them. So, you know, it's really easy to find those people to where it's like, oh, when they say things in this way, I understand it, versus this person to where they make things a little bit more complicated, or this person serves like this part. Somebody just left a super chat here, Fret to Fret.
Oh, thank
so
you.
like
Thank
in
you.
their situation, they teach guitar. So, you know, like in their situation, maybe they teach like a certain area of guitar, where somebody else in their space might have a bunch of other videos on more advanced stuff in guitar. So if you want to learn how to play guitar, you can go and you can learn all that a lot easier now too. But the same exact thing comes to making videos. The technology is getting a lot easier for people as well. So people can make awesome looking videos from their phone that people actually want to watch, which is also another amazing thing. And I think that keeps us coming back to YouTube more and more. And I don't think that's going to slow down anytime soon. So I think that the amount of opportunity that's here, and just making video content in general, another thing that content creators or YouTubers really need to keep in mind when they're developing all these skills is, once you have these skills, you can leverage them for other stuff down the road.
Forever.
So you can offer services for people. You can, you know, you can hop onto other platforms to where maybe you're getting a rough start here on YouTube, but maybe once you get all of that established, you learn the process of making videos and how to, you know, present on camera or how to do whatever type of content it is that you're doing. You know, you can also take that same knowledge that you have, and then you can say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe some weird thing is happening with YouTube, so I'm going to go on this other platform and I'm going to come in so strong because I have developed all of these other skills from learning how to do YouTube. So the value that you get just from being a content creator and the skills that you acquire are really right off. I mean, they're off the charts.
Are you getting excited, guys? Because I'm getting pumped up talking to Nick. Welcome to Video Influencers. If you're new to this channel, I just want to say, give a huge shout out to the Nimmin audience here that's watching. I'm just getting so energized. Hit that like button if you're feeling motivated and pumped up for 2020. I think one of the reasons why so many of you are watching is because you want to crush it on YouTube this year. And that's what we're talking about. We're going to get into these tactics and strategies on how to get your first 100 subscribers in like literally just a couple of minutes. Thank you, Nick, for all that advice and sharing your story, because I think that is what's most important that's lacking right now in this, I guess, YouTube expert world where people are trying to learn is you need a little more context. You need that history and realize, and by the way, this is the first time I heard about Nick's story. There's so much to his success that you can't see. Obviously, even I didn't even know about that old channel. So realize that every moment, every video you record, every editing session, every time you're uploading, every time you have to look at analytics, whether they're good or bad, is not a waste of time. It's helping stack that brick and laying the foundation, and it's going to give you that start. So even if you're starting at zero, have hope. And I say every single year for me is the same. Like even when I just did my goals with Sean, I was telling, it's like basically my goals are the same as last year. I just want to up the standards. I just want to maybe go for more. I'm more of a long-term thinker, but there is something about 2020. So if you're pumped up, let us know, what is your goal for 2020 on how many subscribers you want to get? And we're going to get into it right now on how to actually get your first 100 subscribers, the tips, the tricks, the principles that have worked for both us, myself and Sean here on Video Influencers and our other channels, as well as Nick. I'm excited to hear all of his tips. Nick, before we get into it, is there anything else you want to add? Because I think we've covered a lot, but I'm excited to get into these tips.
Let's see here. Yeah, there is one thing that I do want to add, and that is to make sure that as you're going through this process that you keep your mind together. Because you're like, as a new content creator, like if you are somebody that's just trying to get that first 100 or that first 1,000, or you're relatively new to YouTube, YouTube is constantly changing. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've seen some stuff in the chat as well. But YouTube is constantly changing, and there's always going to be different things that are happening on YouTube because it's new technology. I mean, it's not new, but it is in terms of the problems that it's generating. And those problems are things that have to be dealt with. So if there's anything that I can encourage people to make sure that they are mindful of when they are going through the process, because it is a long process and you're going to experience a lot of changes on YouTube, that you really make sure that you don't get caught up in the hype when things happen, and that you make sure that you look at things objectively, and that you lean on seeking out the actual information instead of watching channels that are just trying to pull you in for views and that are trying to, freak you out and things like that. Actually find the actual information, stay calm, because as you can see, right now we had a big scare recently, and supposedly January 1st is when everything was supposed to start rolling into place, but most people are still here. So
exactly.
So we're streaming live on YouTube right now. So I just really encourage you to just keep your mind state together, because as soon as you start losing that positive charge in terms of like, you know what, I can do this. This is worth it for me to put my time in here. This is worth it for me to develop these skills. As soon as you start losing that, then it can make everything really, really difficult. So I really encourage you over everything else to make sure that you keep your mind together as you're going through this process, because things are going to change. You're going to hear weird comments from people in your comment section. You're going to see people that are competitors that are, they're getting more views than you, or they're growing at a faster rate than you in terms of subscribers, or they're doing some project that's cooler than yours, or whatever it happens to be. Like, you're going to run into that stuff. So just make sure that you just stay focused on what it is that you're trying to achieve with your channel, and try to block out all of that stuff that might pull you down in some way, because if you lose it up here, you lose it everywhere. So just try to keep your mind thinking as you're going through the process.
Mindset is so important. And I just want to give a shout out to Nick's channel. We put a link down in the info box. You definitely want to check out his channel and subscribe to it. Okay. Be the 100 or 1,000 that's going to subscribe to this channel. If you guys are new to this channel, my name is Benji Travis. This is Video Influencers. We're helping build your influence, income, and impact with online videos. That's right. Sean and I, we started this channel to help you crush it on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. And every Saturday, as you're seeing right now, we go live. We have special guests like Nick, and we talk about different topics that you care about, and that's going to help you crush it. So without further ado, we're going to get into how to get your first 100 subscribers, the principles that have worked both for Nick, for myself, for Sean, for video influencers, and so many other creators. And the very first tip that I have for getting your subscribers is add value first before you ask for the subscribe. So many people make this mistake. In fact, like real estate agents is a great example. They're all about promoting themselves and their number and their contact and what they'll do versus actually helping the person in their content. So it's the same thing on YouTube. Don't be a salesy person. Really think about, whether you're an educational channel, informational channel, maybe you're teaching something, or even entertainment. Literally focus on what is the other person going to get out of this video and have that as the only thing that matters. And at the end of the video, you ask for the subscribe. Now, we actually ask for the subscribe early on, but it's just so quick. The reason it's important when you're brand new not to worry about the subscribe at first and add value before that is because people don't know you. If you're just starting out on YouTube, there's no context on who you are, unless you had another channel where you already had an audience, or maybe you have an audience somewhere else. But even then, like, this is a new platform, it's a new day, new year, and you're trying to get subscribers. So always add value first. Focus on what is the person on the other side of the internet, at their computer, on their phone, actually getting out of the content. And if you start from a place like that and you keep that going forever, naturally you're going to get subscribers. So that's my first tip. Nick, anything else you want to add to that, or do you want to dive into tip number 2?
Yeah, that actually leads me into tip number 2, which my tip would be to make sure that you're giving more than anybody else in your space. So, when you are, we'll use real estate as an example. So since you mentioned the real estate space, so like you were saying there, real estate agents, they'll typically make content because they're just trying to get a sale. So they'll typically make content that is all about leading a person into contacting them. But a way that you could give more if you were in that situation, just to use this as an example, is instead of just trying to get people into that, make your channel a resource for the community instead, right? That would be an excellent way to give more. So instead of making like real estate videos on like, hey, this is how you, get your first time home buyer house or whatever, instead of taking that route, say, hey, I'm going to go to all these different events. I'm going to keep people up to date on what is actually happening in the community. I'm going to let people know, hey, there is a change in the market over in this side of town, and this is something you should be mindful of. That's a great way to give more to the community. And then what you do in that situation, and you can do this with any type of content that you put out there, but what you do in that situation is then you become a resource for people in the community. And then when they do need to sell a house in that situation, then you would be the person that they would come to because you've given them so much value already, keeping them informed on what's going on in your local area, for example. But basically, whatever space it is that you happen to be, or niche it is that you happen to be operating in, just think, okay, what is it that other people are doing here? And what is it that I can do to give more or to give differently than the people that are already in the space? So, one thing that I did with my channel as an example is, most of the people in my space at the time, they were just doing videos on, like just how to grow on YouTube. So my approach was, okay, well, let me add some tools to that. Let me start teaching people the actual tech and how to like do all of the stuff that goes on behind actually making videos as well. How do you live stream? How do you do it on your phone? All of that stuff. And that was one of the things that helped me, give more, because it was a side that wasn't particularly being served.
It's like a sub niche. It's like a sub niche of your niche of being a YouTube expert. You're talking about tools, just like Sean. His sub niche is cameras and tech, right? Whether it's the camera itself, the microphone, or the lighting. Obviously, here our sub niche is interviews with people like Nick Nimmin. So I love that point. Anything else you want to add to that before we move to tip number 3?
That's for that specific one, just really dig deep and say, okay, what is it that the other people that are doing? What value is it that people are getting from the other channels in my space? And what is it that I can do to give a different type of value, or to give even more value than the people that are already in my space and that are already making waves, so to speak?
Boom. All right. So tip number 3 for how to get subscribers, your first 100 subscribers on YouTube, is give the subscriber an incentive or a reason to subscribe. So we talk about adding massive value first, right? We talk about add more value than other creators, other channels in your space, but give the subscriber an incentive. Give them a reason that it's important. One side note to mention is a lot of people, they might not even be thinking about subscribing. They're just thinking this is one video, I got my answer and that's it. So if you actually give them a reason like, hey, I have a future upload coming up. I haven't edited it yet, but when it comes out, it's gonna be perfect for you who's watching this video. Or maybe you're an entertainment channel, you like making people laugh. So hey, make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. Just a simple action of telling them that is gonna help invite them to subscribe to your channel. Or other incentives like, hey, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll always be notified of content around this thing that you're interested in. So again, just fill in the blanks and you guys are going to have a better ability to actually get people to subscribe to your channels. Because again, a lot of people make the mistake of, hey, please subscribe to this channel. And that's it. Like they're not talking about it, like what they're going to get in the future if they do subscribe. They're just simply assuming they know, subscribe for future videos. So I think that's really important, and really understanding that subscribe, it's a gift to you as a creator. So make sure you're at least making this commitment to them, or sharing with them the incentive that's in it for the viewer when it comes to hitting that red button and becoming a subscriber after you do the other things. Nick, anything else you want to add to that, or do you want to move on to 4?
Without question. So since we're talking about actually asking people how to subscribe, I definitely want to stack onto that one. So basically the idea there is you want to kind of lead with, you want to kind of dangle the carrot, so to speak, right? So whatever type of content it is that you put out, you want to inform people that you put out that type of content and then close them on the subscribe. So what I mean by that, I'm going to give mine as an example. So what I mean by that is basically when I ask people to subscribe in the beginning of my videos, I say, if you want to learn how to grow your channel, because you're a content creator, if you're watching my stuff, you want to learn how to grow your channel, right? So I'm speaking directly to you. I want you to think, yeah, I want to grow my channel, right? So if you want to grow your channel, make videos. If you want to learn how to grow your channel, make videos. Yeah, I want to learn how to make videos. I want to learn how to make better videos, all of that stuff. I want you to say yes again, right? If you want to learn how to grow your channel, make videos and all types of other YouTube related stuff. I'm a YouTuber. I'm wanting to be on YouTube. Yes, I want to do that too. Start now, right? All you have to do is start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything, right? So basically, like what I do is I build in the front end right there all of the most important things that the people that I'm trying to reach are trying to accomplish, and then I make it easy to invite them or encourage them to subscribe by saying, well, all you have to do, basically, if this is the stuff that you want to learn, all you have to do is subscribe so that you can watch more videos so that you can actually learn how to, make it all happen. So what I do in that situation is, like Benji was saying, is I'm giving them that incentive. I'm giving them that reason at the beginning of it, which helps them understand why, or what helps you, for anybody here that subscribed to my channel, it helps you understand why it is that you should why you should subscribe to my channel, why my channel should be important to you, and how my channel can help you accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish on the platform. And a big part of that is knowing who it is that you're making content for. Because if you don't know who you're making content for, then you're probably just going to say, okay, well, just subscribe to the channel, or you'll say something to where you might just describe the type of content it is that you're putting out there, but you're not saying anything that's really resonating with the people that are coming in and watching the videos. But if you understand, hey, this is what the people that are watching my type of content, this is what's important to them, then that's the stuff that you can incentivize them with when you're asking them to subscribe to your channel.
Boom. You're hearing amazing wisdom from Nick Nimmin. Thank you so much to the Nimminati community for being here on Video Influencers. Just want to give some quick shout outs to people who are giving through Super Chat. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. We've got Adams Exploits. Thank you. Hi, Benji and Nick, 2 of my favorite creators. Appreciate you. We got The Urban Explorer. It's great to see D Nimmin on the show. So thank you so much. And then, of course, we got Cakeology. And you've got a question. I would like to do a $5,000 giveaway on my my subscribers after I reach 20,000 subscribers? Any advice? We're going to get to your questions afterwards. That's very generous of you. But we're talking about gaining your first 100 subscribers. Of course, these principles, they will literally help you forever. So we know a lot of you are just starting out because you're excited about 2020. But now we're going to get into tip number 4 for gaining subscribers. Nick, hit us. What is the next tip people should consider when gaining subscribers?
Outwork the people that are in your space, right? And what I mean by that is this. So when you are uploading videos to YouTube, everybody's uploading videos to YouTube, and the viewers only have so much time to watch a certain amount of content. So the viewers are going to be making the choice on if they're going to watch your video or somebody else's video. And what happens is when you, again, this also comes down to understanding who you're making content for, but when you start putting out content on a regular basis, or even more once you learn how to make effective content, but you start putting out content on a regular basis that people are responding to, and your competitor, let's say your competitor is opening, most of your competitors are uploading, 1 time per week. Well, if you double it to where you're uploading twice per week, then what you're doing is you're keeping yourself more at the top of mind with that particular space than the people that are uploading once a week. And the reason that that's important is because when people, we talked about this earlier before we actually started the video side of this, but when people are continually getting exposed to you, they start to get this connection in terms of like, hey, I know this person. I know what they stand for. I know the things that they're into. I know the things that they are not into, or the things that are not acceptable. I know the nuances of their personality. I start to feel like I know this person. So when you are uploading more and it's effective content, it's content that adds value to your viewers, then what happens in that situation is you start being in front of those viewers more than the competition. And the really cool thing that happens in that situation is because people are responding to you more, then that gives you the opportunity to start getting suggested more as well. And then you can eventually start dominating like the home pages of that particular audience. You can start dominating the suggested videos of that audience, depending on if you're targeting search or not. You can start dominating the search results, because here's the thing, like with whatever type of content you're making, if you target search as one of your primary traffic sources, there's only so many of those top search results that show up for each term. So if you're targeting those and you're able to produce more content than the people that are that you're competing with, then that gives you the opportunity to also pull in new people that will subscribe to your channel from those as well, because you're going to have more like Benji said earlier, you're going to have more hooks, so to speak, out there in the water that are pulling in more subscribers that or more people that you're going to have the opportunity to convert into subscribers.
Absolutely. And remember, competition is great. It only makes you better, and vice versa, right? Like, by the way, technically, I guess Nick could be a competitor of ours, but we've never thought of it that way. In fact, Nick does an amazing job of promoting our book, YouTube Secrets, and, having Nick on here. In fact, I'd say, this is probably one of our more popular broadcasts because we're working together. So the reason I bring that up is it's important for you to look at your competition, see what's working for them, and level up, because you're going to do that for them, right? Anybody that looks at other channels, other communities as a healthy competition is only going to get better. And the reason this point is so powerful is because literally what they're doing is obviously working for them. So you should look at what they're doing and do it better or do more of it. And so even just how many uploads you're doing, I think is really important, because, especially as YouTube continues to grow. So we're going to move into tip number 5 now. But you guys, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. This is Video Influencers. My name is Benji Travis. We have Saturday morning broadcasts every single weekend. So make sure you check it out. But the 5th tip for gaining your subscribers is use supportive text and graphics on your videos to do call to actions without you having to say it. One thing people forget is we can say it during our videos. I suggest more towards the end, or maybe splice in there here and there. But when you use the graphics and the text that just come up in front of you, just like you saw that text there, it's, again, as you're adding value, going to remind the person, hey, this is a channel that I should subscribe to, because if this is the value I'm getting, what if they put out a better video later? And a great example is Nimmin. So we're going to show his video right now as I'm talking about this. Nick's video, he literally is talking. I don't even know. He's talking about growing on YouTube, but look, he has that remember to subscribe right there on the screen. I've seen this on his channel many, many times. It's a small tactic that is so easy. We can put it back to me now. That anybody can do, right? And what I love about that is it doesn't interfere with the value that you're giving already. And it's another bonus extra way to remind people, hey, subscribe to my channel. You can maybe even put, again, what the incentive is or what they're going to get out of it in that text while still delivering value without skipping a beat. Because, for me to literally say, hey, you guys, if you want more videos like this, tips and trick videos, interviews with other influencers, make sure you subscribe. That was 1 or 2 seconds or 3 seconds that's taken away from your content. So this overlay of text and graphics is so easy to do. And it's really not that hard. I mean, if you don't know how to do it, just Google it. As I tell my team, go to YouTube. There's tons of tutorials. If you're using any editing program, you can get graphics on top of it. Nick, any thoughts on that, considering we just use your channel as an example and you do such a great job of this, making it look so good in the power of asking for the subscriber without actually verbally doing it?
Yeah, it's really important. And the reason it's important because a lot of people think that, well, if I'm asking for people to subscribe or I'm reminding them to subscribe, I'm being pushy and people don't like being pushed upon. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're actually, when you ask them to subscribe in the front, what you're doing there is you're actually giving them the opportunity by letting them know what it is that you're doing. When you put the graphic somewhere in the middle or maybe a couple of times in the middle, what you're doing in that situation, and by the middle, I mean the actual like content of the video, what you're doing in that situation is you're actually just reminding people because maybe you didn't get them in the front, right? Maybe they come in, they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to subscribe because I don't really know what I'm going to get out of this yet. So let me just watch the video first before I actually subscribe. And then let's say they dig your video. They're like, wow, I'm just going to sit here and watch this. This is great, right? And they just get into your video. They're not thinking, right? We're YouTubers. So we think like, okay, subscribe, that's in our brains. But for, the normal viewer, they're just thinking, hey, is this video going to entertain me? Or is this video going to give me what it is that I'm here on YouTube for? So when you add those graphics to what it is that you're doing, it allows them to be reminded, oh yeah, you know what? I am enjoying this. Let me click that subscribe button. It's just a little nudge, just a little reminder, just to bring that idea of subscribing to your channel back to the top of mind. And the same exact thing applies to your end screen as well. When you're asking people there, when you're reminding people at the end of your video, make sure that you have something on the screen, either that subscribe icon or you tell them, to actually click the button itself instead of just telling them, to subscribe. Because when as YouTubers, we know, hey, this is the subscribe button. This is the icon that people click on to subscribe. But as a viewer, they don't necessarily know that. So actually telling people, hey, click on the subscribe button down below this video if you enjoyed this so you can get more of this content, that's something that's really valuable in terms of reminding people to do it. What's funny, I actually had a comment one time. I've only had this once, but I had a comment one time to where a lady, she's not even a YouTuber. She was just looking around YouTube. She left me a comment saying that she didn't even know until she watched my video that you could subscribe to YouTube channels. Yep. And the reason that she subscribed was because she saw that graphic in my current subscribe to action, or my current call to action to subscribe at the beginning. I actually have a thing that zooms out and you actually click the button. She didn't even know it was possible until she saw that graphic. And then that, of course, opened up her whole world for, what she could do in terms of, collecting content on YouTube. But, people don't always know, and it's easy for us to assume that they do. But when you give all these little nudges and all these reminders and you tell people the value that they're getting and all that stuff, if you apply all of that stuff and you have value driven content, you will without question watch your view to subscribe ratio climb. It works every single time.
Boom. So, we're talking about gaining subscribers, your first 100 subscribers. But again, these principles will work for you forever. I mean, they're not going to go away. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things in our book that we talk about more important than tactical stuff or hacks or shortcuts is these principles are what's going to make you successful at the beginning and in the end when you do reach these different milestones. Question of the day, what is your subscriber count goal for 2020? Put it in the comments area below. And remember, we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end of this. Another tip here that I have for gaining your first 100 subscribers is reach out to your family and friends. I know this one seems so basic, but when you're first starting out and you see that ticker go from 0 to 1 to 5, maybe 10, and it's been like a month or a few months, it could be depressing. Realize that the people that want to support you would easily subscribe. I'm not a whole subscribe for subscribe strategy type of content creator. I think that you always want to add value and make sure that subscriber is somebody that is actually interested in the content you're providing. But at the beginning, to get your first 100, you probably have an email list. You probably have a client list, or maybe you already are bigger on another platform. Or basically go directly to people that care about you and want to support you. Ask them for the subscribe. Tell them what you're doing. Just like Nick mentioned about that lady not even knowing about subscribing. There's probably a lot of people that don't even know you have a YouTube channel. It's funny, I've been on YouTube for a long time, so generally my family and friends know about what my wife and I do, but I know some of them don't know about video influencers. So don't forget or discount that community of people that you've built relationships with that would so quickly subscribe. This is probably the cheapest, and when I say cheapest, I say it with respect. Cheapest as in they might never ever watch a video, right? But again, getting your first 100 subscribers, I think it's just about building some momentum. There is some authority. I think when it comes down to it, views is what matters on YouTube, okay? Subscribers don't matter, because there's people with millions of subscribers that barely get any views, or the ratio is way worse. Like Nick Nimmin, who's crushing it, his ratio is much better than even some multiple million subscriber channels. However, there is something to be said about that subscriber count. I think that's really important. So getting to 100 is not just a superficial thing. It's showing the community like, hey, there's people interested enough right now, and I'm just starting out, that maybe I should also subscribe to it. I know it's really not rocket science, and I know that it might be so basic that you might discount it, but it actually works. Like, this is what we tell people that are friends and family of ours that are just starting out on this platform. So just quick little tip for you guys: if you're literally starting at 0 today, let us know. Are you starting at 0 subscribers or 0 uploads? I want to know in the comments area, and we're going to get into the next tip. I'm excited to hear what it is, Nick, but what are your thoughts?
On to stack on what it was that you were talking about, I think also another thing that you can do is you're making videos because you're passionate about a specific topic. Mm-hmm. So, when you're asking your friends and family, another thing that you can do in that, if you're like, I don't really want to ask, I don't want Joe to know that I have a YouTube channel yet because he's going to give me a hard time about it. I want to grow it a little bit first. If you have, you have that approach, then another thing that you can do is you can also connect with other people that are passionate about it. So, there's Facebook groups and subreddits and forums and all of these communities online that around basically anything that you could possibly be interested in. So at the very least, you can go and start interacting in those communities. And then as time progresses, let people know that you have a YouTube channel. Sometimes, depending on the type of content that you make, if somebody, let's say that you're a gamer and you are in a gaming community to where people are like, I'm having a real hard time beating this particular character, you can make a video and say, hey, I just made a video for you on how to beat this particular character. And then that lets that person and a handful of other people in that community also know that you have a YouTube channel as well. So you can also leverage that sort of thing. But on the next tip, the next thing that I want to talk about is in terms of actually getting subscribers on your YouTube channels to actually care about not just the results that you're getting on YouTube, but also care about the people that are watching your content. What I mean by that is not like, you're not like giving everybody hugs, right? And like giving away everything. But what I'm talking about is, respect people's time. People are spending a lot of time on YouTube, and they're spending a lot of time out of their lives to consume your content. So respect their time. Don't waste their time on a bunch of things that don't matter. Don't waste their time, just filling out a video for the sake of getting past that 10-minute mark so you can get an additional, a little bit of additional ad money or something like that. Like focus on just making sure that you're adding tons of value to the viewers, because you care that those people are giving you their time in exchange for the content that you are putting out to them. Care when they leave comments, respond. Make sure that, I know that in some cases, once it gets to a certain point, it's going to be difficult. But as much as you possibly can, try to interact, try to respond to your comments. When people send you messages on Twitter, they at you on Twitter, hop in there, at the very least, hit the heart button on YouTube or hit the like button on Twitter to let people know, hey, I got the message. I got that you're, reaching out. When people send you messages, try to reach out. A fun thing that I do and I know a lot of other people do this as well. I got this idea actually from Evan Carmichael, is sometimes I'll actually send video messages also when people send me messages, just because it's just easier. And I know, because, I consume YouTube content too, and I get excited when things like this happen, but I know that in some cases people are like, oh, wow, that was really cool. So because of that, I'll go that extra mile just to let people know, hey, not only am I going to send you just a quick text, but I'm also going to send you a video message as well. But, just do little things like that, to where, you're letting the people know, that you respect their time, that you care about the effort that they're putting in to engage with what it is that you're doing. Just make sure that you're giving that back to that community. And when you're doing that, not only is it going to help you gain subscribers, but it's also going to help you retain subscribers as well. And it's going to help you build a strong foundation in your community, which is ultimately going to be the thing that ends up propelling you towards whatever it is that you're trying to achieve on YouTube.
Boom! You heard it from Nick Nimmin. If you guys are new to this channel, this is Video Influencer. Subscribe to our channel. Make sure you check out Nick's channel as well. We have the link down below in the info box. But you heard it. Those tips are going to help you get your first 100 subscribers, your first 1,000 and beyond. These principles will work. We talk about adding value first and then go for the ask. Giving more than anybody else in your niche. Make sure you give the subscriber an incentive to actually subscribe to your channel, and then outwork the competition, upload more, raise the bar up of your quality and the information that you're giving. Make sure you supported text and graphics that help you do the call to action without interrupting what you're actually doing and the content you're providing. And lastly, my favorite one, thank you, Nick, care. I think that is the most important thing that a lot of people forget, because caring is it's the soul of YouTube. It's what creates that engagement, which creates a relationship, which creates a trust, and then leads into opportunities. I know it sounds weird that I ended it with opportunities, but honestly, if you're giving to a community and to viewers who are ultimately becoming subscribers, and then you build that relationship, which turns into trust, it's only a matter of time when they want to give back to you, whether you're going to sell a product, whether they'll take you seriously when you give referrals or call to actions to affiliates, or whether they become a member. You guys can become a member of ours. And it didn't happen day one or year one. It happened in year 5, right? It happened after you cared enough about your community. But in the simple aspect of caring when it comes to subscribers is, remember, people will also, this is a bonus tip, your audience will refer your channel to other people. In fact, Nick, he's done that for us. I mean, I don't know how often you watch Nick, but of course you have said, hey guys, check out Video Influencers. Sean and Benji are doing great stuff over there. And that's because he knows that we care, and vice versa. We're talking about Nick's channel, and we put his link down below because I know that he cares. In fact, today I was on his broadcast and I thanked them for caring about the community. And so when you do care, as frou-frou and spiritual and hippie that sounds, it actually pays dividends way beyond anything else that we discuss. So Nick, we're going to go ahead and get into Q&A, but any last thoughts on this before we switch to the questions that people are asking?
Absolutely. Keep going. Yeah. Keep going, because it's tough. There's a lot of work involved. Keep going. Like, if you want it, go after it, because you're the one that, if you don't, you're going to have to be the one that faces it. You're the one that has to lay there in bed at night and think to yourself, should I have given up? Or you're going to be the person that's going to lay in bed and think to yourself, holy cow, this worked out so much better than I ever possibly imagined that it could have worked out. Now my life is completely changed because I stuck to it. So if you really, really want to turn this into something, stick to it, because it basically comes down to time, and it comes down to learning, and it comes down to application of what it is that you learn. So just stick to it.
Boom. You guys heard it there. Make sure you pick up a copy of YouTube Secrets on Amazon and Audible. And like I said, we're going to get into Q&A. If you guys want more videos like this about subscribers, click or tap the screen right here. We've got a playlist for you guys. If you guys want to see our last interview with Nick, where we actually talk about more tips on helping you crush it on YouTube, click or tap the screen right here.